Hello, everyone. My name is Shanae Jones, and this is KNKY, which stands for Know the New Kinky You. I'm your resident certified sex coach, and my job is to find ways to help individuals and couples have the best sex that they could possibly have. And so, their sex is not always the easiest thing to talk about. And when we have challenges or issues or concerns, we don't always know where to turn. So working with a coach is a good opportunity to kind of work through issues without worrying about judgment or fear or someone looking at you as if your head is on backwards. 9 times out of 10, anything that we go through, there are other people that have gone through the same thing. So what you have to realize is that sex, as great as it can be, is not always what we want it to be. So tonight we're talking about how much sex should we be having. Okay. So sex is a normal and natural part of life. It's the means in which we are created. I got here because my mom had sex. My sister don't like to admit it, but that's how I got here. So we don't necessarily always just have sex for procreation. It's not just for that. If that were the case, can you imagine that world that we would live in, that if it was just for procreation, women would only crave sex during ovulation because we would know our bodies were primed for having a baby. So that's the only time we would want to have sex. And I believe men would never masturbate. There would never be a need to release other than during the time your partner was ovulating. So there would be a whole lot different if sex was only meant for procreation. So since it's not, we know that sex is meant to be fun. It's meant to be expressive. It's meant to be enjoyed. So sex is an important part of a healthy adult relationship. And I preface adult because, although we have those under 18 that are having sex, that is a different concept for me, where we have to deal with sex education and sex maturity and making sure that we're having conversations with our kids about sex. So in this context, I'm talking about sex with adults who are in relationships or who have sexual partners that they're dealing with. So it's known that couples who have a strong sexual attraction towards each other and sexual compatibility typically have successful relationships. And that doesn't mean that there aren't other things in your relationship that might cause strife, but having a strong sexual connection and compatibility helps aid that. That can, you can have a fight and then that makeup sex is just off the hook, then you have a different key to your relationship. So have you ever asked yourself, so getting to the question, have you ever asked yourself, are you having enough sex? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about averages. So according to recent research from the Kinsey Institute, and I've talked about the Kinsey Institute before, those that are between 18 and 29 years old have sex an average of 112 times per year. We're talking about averages. This is not specific to any particular person, but on average, that age group has sex 112 times a year. That is just about once every 3 days. Now, as you start to get to the 30 to 39-year-olds, they start having sex an average of 86 times per year. So that's about once every 4 days. And then about, when you get to my age bracket, 40 to 49-year-olds have sex about 69 times per year. That's about once every 5 days. Now, based on this particular research, it suggests that we lose about a day of sex per week every decade. Now, based on averages, I'm going to ask you, does your number of sexual encounters match your age. So for me, I would say no. I'm probably still in my 30s, thank God. I don't want to be, you know, 90 years old and having sex once every 6 months. That's not what I want to do. So you have to live the age that you want. So I'm gonna give a quick shout out right now to my friend Eric, who is about to turn 50, and I believe that his sexual age is probably 18. It's probably younger than that, but again, we're talking about adults, so I'm gonna cap it at 18. Go Eric. I'm proud of you. So our capacity to have sex is based on a whole lot of different factors. We have our lifestyle, we have each person's health that has to be considered because health issues creep up as we get older, our sex drives, and there's a lot of things that motivate our sex drives. So, we're also talking about our age, right? So as we get older, we tend to have a lot of different factors that impact us. So family obligations, at 18, you're not worried about the kids and paying bills and going to work, the stress from work and bills and relationship issues, illness. As we get older, we, dealing with different health type of things. I know I used to be able to drop it much lower than I can now. I still try to drop it low, but not quite as low as I used to be able to. You have those physical changes in your body that you have to deal with. And really, it's a mental thing about how old you feel. I had a conversation with my cousin, and I'm like, you're 36 years old, but you run around like you're 10, like you have that type of energy. It's like, it's about how old you feel. So, it is a mental factor with that. So all these things influence how we feel and experience sex. Marriage is also a factor in how often people have sex. So based on surveys, 34% of married people have sex 2 to 3 times per week. 45% have sex a few times a month, and 13% have sex a few times a year. And I'm glad that is the lower number, because there was some suggestion that, there are a lot of married couples that just are not having sex. And just to give you the proper definition, a sexless marriage is, I'm going to use both fingers, a sexless marriage is considered a marriage where sex happens less than 4 times a year. I hope none of you are in that situation. If it is your situation and you want an opportunity to change, you want to try to figure out how to make that different or better, you can always talk to me as a coach, and I can talk to you and your partner, and we can try to figure out how to change that for you. But being married in those committed relationships, the ones that are having more frequent sex tend to be happier. So that 45% where they're having sex a few times a month, okay, great. That 34% where it's a couple times per week, they are the ones that, based on statistics, based on research, are felt to be the happiest. So again, you have to ask yourself, what is more regular? So again, everything is relative. Nothing that I'm saying is going to be cookie cutter and apply specifically to you and your personal situation. So I would say that if given based on the averages that we talked about, ask yourself where you fall in that range. And if you feel like, based on your age, based on your circumstances, that you're outside of where you think it's comfortable, or you want more than what you are currently getting, then do your best to strive to increase those numbers. So if you're used to having sex, once a week, up it to twice a week. Be purposeful about the number of times that you have sex. There are things that you can do to help. So sex can be uncomfortable for some people. So you have to figure out why. Think about the reasons why you aren't having the sex that you want to have. If, for instance, you have sex that's uncomfortable because of dryness, I'm sure everybody knows that they have lubricants out there. Some people might feel embarrassed to actually go to the store and buy a lubricant. I actually have a joke. I use my best friend's CVS number every time I buy lubricant, so she knows when I'm buying it. So I do that for her. Let's see. You can also, if you experience any type of pain during sex, you can try different positions. Now, if it's really painful, then I would suggest you go to your doctor and try to figure out, if there's something medically wrong that is contributing to the pain. And the biggest issue that I find when I'm talking to couples is that they just don't have time, between work and taking care of the kids and everything that they have to do. I don't have time. That's why they make quickies. You can schedule a date night if you haven't done so already. Schedule a date night, but a quick session. Take a shower together. Do something that gives you the opportunity. Create opportunities for you to have sex. Do that. There is always time. There are always things to do. I'm a big fan of morning sex. So if you have to wake up, 20, 30 minutes earlier than you normally would to get that session in, do it. You don't have to do it every day, but do it. Make time to have sex. It is good for your life. But you also have to have balance, right? So when you have a relationship where sexual drive and sexual desire is uneven, you have one person with a really high sex drive, somebody whose sex drive is not as high, you can have a imbalance, and you have to go back and try to find that balance, right? So you have to be considerate of that other person, and it's important to be honest and open about what that person wants and what is best for both of you. You have to be honest and have those conversations, as hard as they might be. And again, I would say that if you have difficulty having that conversation, it is useful sometimes to bring in a third party who is neutral to help you understand the importance of compromise, to help you understand that if there are options. So, for instance, if you're in the mood and your partner isn't, masturbate. I know a lot of people, and don't get me wrong, most people, when I say that, they're like, I'm in a relationship, I shouldn't have to masturbate. But that person shouldn't feel a certain pressure to do something that they don't want to do. So if they're not in the mood or they have other things going on with them, it's best for you to relieve the situation yourself without making it worse for them. So, you have to have that compromise. You have to have that willingness to talk. Now, in the event that the unevenness is really imbalanced, then talk to somebody. Talk to me. Talk to a coach. Talk to somebody that can help you get on the same page, because there's a reason behind it and you just don't know what it is. We like what we like. We know what we want, especially if you've taken the time through masturbation to learn it. Masturbation is a learning opportunity to know your body and know how your body responds to things. So think of it that way. Don't think of it as just, oh, my partner doesn't, she not want to have sex, or he's not want to have sex, so I have to do it myself. Take it as an opportunity to get to know you and find different techniques that will help you be a better person. I am Shanae Jones, and I want you to understand that there will always be sexual hills and valleys in a relationship, and it's our job to work through them as best as we can. Having that sex, that the frequency of sex, is not as important as the quality of sex. Having a healthy sex life and having the benefits of sex don't come from numbers. It comes from our capacity to enjoy the situation that we are in. So keep that in mind. I'm your certified sex coach. Follow me on all social media platforms, the YouTube, the Facebook, the Instagram, my website Everything is DOYOUKNKY, which stands for Do You Know the New Kinky You? Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to send me a message. If there's content that you want to see specifically, please let me know and I will do my best to post it for you. Thank you so much. See you soon.